Hello everyone, Heather here again, and this is going to be another weekly recap on what's happening with the crypto markets. So this week was quite interesting because we actually had a huge dip in almost all the coins. We can see we have a huge dip on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and overall the market is, let's say, down quite a lot. So this week is obviously a little bit rough for people who were invested in crypto and who are especially bullish on crypto. So let's talk about how things are, what are some of the next setups, and what should we probably do in this time period. So looking at Bitcoin, we can see that the top was about 63k and now we are at about 36k. So about a 50% decrease in just for a few weeks. Similarly for Ethereum, the top was about 4k and now we are at 23. The top was for 4k, now we are at 2.3k. And for LTC, the top was 400 and now we are at 180. So for all of these sort of the top coins, we can see that we are down about 50%, which is a huge amount. So if you were invested, if you sort of added money into these cryptocurrencies at the very top, then you might have lost some money, and that's okay, because especially if you invested for the long term, you'll probably make it back. But if you were swing trading or day trading it, then you might have lost money, and we'll talk about how you could have sort of prevented yourself from losing all that money. But yeah, we can see that we have had a huge dip. We are now officially in actually a downtrend because the moving averages have turned to the downside. So officially we are in a downtrend. Let's see when we actually reverse that trend, or if we actually keep going down. For the highest volume, we can see that Bitcoin and Ethereum, the volume here remains at the top. Then we have XRP, BNB, ERA, DOGE, and a few others. This is interesting social media chatter. So all this week, Doge remained at the top for Reddit. Then for Twitter, Bitcoin is at the top. Then yesterday, a couple of days ago, ENG and ONG appeared, and then we have the famous ETC, Dash, ADA, and others. So I usually keep an eye on these to see if anything new pops up, and then I try to look at the price action to see if there is a setup there that I want to trade or invest in. Then we can see that this picture actually tells the story. Since these red bars are much larger than the green bars, that just means that there are a lot more losers, and those losers are pretty big than there are winners in this market. But if you still want to trade, or let's say swing trade or invest, and you want to find some potential plays, then this is actually these green bars are actually a good potential candidates, because in the downward market these are still going up, so you might want to take a look at them. Then we can see that the market predictions seem like still bearish. Ethereum seems a little bit bullish, but overall we can see that all signs are pointing towards slightly a bearish market. And then we have the news, which we'll skip. So looking at the markets, it looks like, again, we are in a downtrend and we have already gone down a lot. So let's see what we are going to do next. What are some of the potential plays for the next few weeks? We're going to start with Bitcoin and see how it's doing. And for Bitcoin, let us do some analysis. So the first thing that I want you to see is that during all this time, you can see that the volume was low during this consolidation phase. But as soon as we started going down, you can see the increase in the volume. Now that's a very concerning sign, and if you go back and watch some of our previous weekly recaps, you will actually see me discuss this issue, because when this volume is increasing on a price decrease, then that means that selling pressure is increasing, which always means that you should stay aware and you shouldn't invest right now. And that's one thing. Yeah, so right away you can see that last week the volume started to increase at around here. So if you had invested in Bitcoin, you would just exit, because we went below the moving averages. We had this support area here that we broke, and then there was this last support area here that we actually broke about 3 days ago. So at this point in time, you for sure should have exited if you had a position in Bitcoin, and wait for, let's say, a reversal, or actually the price to go down, settle, and then start to go in an uptrend. So this would have been your last exit point. Now, since again you can see that the moving averages are now starting to turn down, they're starting to face downwards, that means we are officially in a downtrend again. So the next you can see that the next support area is around here. So, and you can see that the price actually turned up after touching this area, but that doesn't really matter. So if you want to find short-term opportunities, then you can again look at these support and resistance lines. And sure, you'll be able to find a few setups, but just know that overall there is downtrend now. So just keep that in mind, because it's not like Bitcoin is going to, hopefully, like with high probability, it's not like Bitcoin is going to rally another 20-25% in the next few days, because what happens in the markets is you have a few phases. So you always have these phases. So let's say you have this consolidation phase. So this is where you can see that we kept going up, down, up, down, up, down. Then what you always have is this huge trend phase. It's either an uptrend or a downtrend, and you can see that we had it for about half a year, and in that time period, we went from 13k to 63k. So it was a huge rally. Then you can see that we again had a consolidation phase where we started to sort of just bounce between certain levels, and then finally you can see that we now have this downtrend phase. So markets always move in cycles, and these cycles keep repeating themselves. So please don't be naive and think that this cycle is going to be different. We'll probably since we are in a slightly bearish market now, we probably sort of want to wait until we can start consolidating again, and then we go in. But it's not sort of all hopelessness. If you want to swing trade, or if you want to sort of do intraday trading, then what you can do is you can actually use these supported resistance levels to do short-term trading. So you can see that Bitcoin always wants to move towards this 50 and 20 moving average. You can see here, then not here actually. So you can see that now the distance between the moving averages and the price has increased a lot. Now that means that the price in short term is going to go back to the moving averages before it starts to go down again. So that might be your opportunity to buy. Wait until the price reaches this 20 or 50 moving average, and then then just sell your position. So these short term trades are still there, but longer term we need to wait for the price to settle and then start going in an uptrend. So that's it for Bitcoin. Please, again, always keep an eye on the volume. The volume tells you everything along with the price action. Let's look at Ethereum. So similarly, Ethereum, we actually had a very bad downtrend here in just a few days. Actually, probably, yeah, about 10 days we have gone from 4,300 to about 2,000. So that's about 50% decrease in just 10 days, which is huge. We have a position here, and we are not selling because we are long crypto for the next 5 to 10 years. But for those who want to sort of swing trade it, you can see that we had this anchored VWAP support that we were very nicely respecting, but 3 days ago we finally broke it, and you can see that now we can't seem to sort of go up. Today you can see that we tried to go above it, but we couldn't. But now what we need to do is, again, the principles remain the same. So you can see that the price has gone down. So again, look at the volume. The volume on the downtrend is so high, which means that a lot of people are selling now, which is always a sign of concern. So no, let's say long term or slightly longer term swing setup here. But if you want to day trade this, or if you want to sort of find short term setups, then you can see that right now we are at a resistance. So let's say we probably go down a little bit more, but again, look at the distance between the moving average and the price. When the distance between the moving average and the price was high, the 20 EMA and the price, you can see that we went back. When it was high, we went back. When it was high, we went back. We always want to move towards these moving averages. In a downtrend, those reversals are bullish because we are going down, and then let's say we go down a lot, then we need to settle or reverse to the moving averages before going down again. And those small pullbacks are your opportunities to buy. But please remember that these are short-term setups. You can't sort of expect the price to keep going up when you are officially in a downtrend. So if you want to sort of trade this, then I'll actually look at some slightly shorter term time frames and see when we get a reversal. So for this one, we can actually see that, I think an easier way, give me a second please. All right, so I'm going to change the larger EMA to 100 because that might give us a decent support level. Okay, so you can see that this was a support level here. We finally broke it here, and now this has been acting as a nice resistance level here, around here. So let's either, so there are going to be two setups here. Let's see, we go up, we go at about this level, we start going down again. So that's going to be a short setup. So you might want to short, if it's possible in your brokerage, then you might want to short Ethereum. But let's say we actually break this 100 EMA, then that is going to be your short-term bullish setup, because when we broke it to the downside, you can see that for the last 10 days we have just been going down. So let's say now we break it to the upside, then that means for at least a few days we might actually keep going up before we actually reverse again on the larger time frame such as daily or weekly. So just keep that in mind. That's sort of a good thing to remember. Let's see how the weekly setup is looking. The weekly is actually looking nice because you can see on the weekly we did respect the 20 EMA. So again, the daily looks bad, so until we reverse the trend on daily, we don't want to go long. But on the weekly, we have this hope that we didn't really went below the 20 EMA. We had this support level that we have respected. So when the price touched this about 2K region, if you are long on Ethereum and if you want to invest in it for the long term, then that would have been your perfect entry. Many of our users actually bought Ethereum at 2K when it sort of went there about a couple of days ago. So if you are if you have high hopes for crypto, then when it dips, and especially it dips on these moving averages and it starts to go back, then those are your entry points, because maybe we have this huge downtrend on the daily, but on the weekly it looks like we haven't even broken a 20 EMA, and it's been actually over a year since we have not broken the 20 EMA. So we actually really respect this moving average. So hopefully let's see what happens here. But the setups are still there on the shorter time frames. Please don't sort of go long here expecting the price to rally. Let's look at some other coins. LTC, very similar setup. We had a support level that we have broken, which has now become a resistance level. So at least either wait for this level to break to the upside, and then again always trade these moving averages. Look at the distance between the moving average and the current price. So once we settle a little bit, you can see the volume drying up. So we want to consolidate a little bit. We might actually rally towards this moving average before going back down again. So always keep that in mind. These moving averages are like magnets that attract price towards them. So we have, let's say, a setup there. Let's look at the 4-hour chart. Again, you can see that huge downtrend here, and then we have this support level that has actually probably, maybe it's still a support level and will keep going up, but wait for these moving average levels to break. Let's see, we have DOGE, everyone's favorite. These actually went down quite a bit, I believe. So let's try to look at the anchored VWAP. So you might want to ask, why do I keep juggling between moving averages and anchored VWAPs? So there is no fixed reason. If I'm looking at a price action and it looks like there might be an anchored VWAP support just based on this orange line, then I try to look for anchored VWAP. If it looks like we have a moving average support, you can see that we actually have a 50 moving average support here. I believe this is a 50 moving average. Yeah, we have a 50 moving average support here, so that looks good. I also want to see if we have an anchored VWAP support, which is why I'm doing anchored VWAP here. And we can see that we actually don't have, we broke it, we broke the support, and now we are actually below it. So let's see, we have this trend line. So if you want to go long, at least wait for this trend line to break before we can go long, because we do have this weak moving average support here, but overall the trend is now reversed. We are actually below the moving average right here. You can see we are below it, and we are below the 20 EMA as well. So we are below all moving averages. The uptrend has somewhat sort of ended. So now wait for at least either for us to gain that uptrend again, or just sort of stay away from this. Let's see if we have anything on a smaller time frame. And again, here you can see as well, we have this beautiful trend line that's going down. So let's actually wait before we break this trend line to the upside before we actually go bullish here. All right, what else? We have XRP that has had a lot of volume. And again, the theme here is the same. We were in a consistent upward trend, and now we have broken all those trends. We are below the moving averages again. So we need to gain back some bullish momentum before we can go long on these without worrying about what's going to happen to the price. Right now, it's very tricky. So you have to find shorter term setups to trade crypto. Other than that, if you're bullish on crypto, then the more it dips, the better it is for you. So for me personally, I am extremely bullish on crypto. So and I have some money that I can afford to lose. I can afford to lose all of it. So the more it dips, the more I'm going to invest in crypto, because I believe in the long-term potential of it. But everyone has sort of a different criteria for what and when they want to invest in something. So please sort of be aware of what your situation is and then trade accordingly. I can't see anything here, so let me look at a shorter time frame. Again, this was some consolidation. Now we are in a very strong downtrend, so this is actually good. So let's see, we are in this strong downtrend. Let's see we break out of here with some volume. So we have this volume on these red candles, but let's see we have a huge volume on one green candle. That might be a good short-term setup here, but right now there is nothing here. Let's look at dot. Again, we had a huge red candle and we are right on a support level. So maybe we consolidate here a bit, but look at the volume. The volume is again very high on the sell-off. So again, no setup here. So you might be asking why I've made this video, because there are no setups. So one, I don't think there always needs to be setups. There always need to be setups there for us to create this video, because many people, since many new people have no idea how to analyze price action to see if there is an entry or exit on the chart, many people are just going to invest in crypto without thinking about the repercussions or how the price is looking. So we are creating this video to at least let everyone know how the market condition is right now, how things have reversed quite badly, and how they need to stay away until we either consolidate or sort of do a trend reversal, or do at least something. Or if they still want to invest, they really like crypto, then the setups that are out there are slightly shorter term setups. So that's sort of the main reason of creating this video. All right, again, nothing here. So let's actually see the tickers that are going up. So we have STPT. All right, so this is what I'm saying. So when we are in a downtrend, what we want to see is we want to see these slightly green candles with large volume, but you can see that this anchored VWAP support, this is now acting as a resistance. So let's see what's happening on a shorter term time frame. Nothing is really happening here. You can see that we can't seem to break this resistance level. We tried to do it today, we couldn't. So we are still in a downtrend and there is no setup. If we do it with some volume and we close above it, then there will be a decent bullish setup in short term, but right now there is nothing. Let's see, we have Zen, we have Hive. All right, so this actually went above its anchored VWAP again, which is good, but still you can see that we tried to go up. We again have a decent sort of volume red candle, but the good thing here is that the green candle had a higher volume, so that's good for us, and we want to keep an eye on this. Maybe we actually, let's say we went down, but we have immediately reversed directions here, so let's see what happens. But let's see in the 1 hour chart. But again, you can see that we haven't really broken this trend line. This is a loose trend line, not a perfect trend line, but you can see that we have not broken it. Unless we do that, there is no setup here. So we might actually, let's say, you can see that we have two trend lines here, from the bottom and from the top. So when you have this triangle like shape, you always want the price to break out in either direction. So let's say we start going down with some volume. So you can see that the volume here was high. Or let's say we start going up, we sort of break out of here with some volume. Now that is going to be sort of a very perfect bullish or bearish setup depending on what we're doing. So please keep an eye on this. I think this looks good for an entry pretty soon. So please keep an eye. Let's see Hive. Again, we are still in a pretty nice downtrend here on the daily. So until we break that, you can see how nicely this trend line has been respected by the price for the last about 20 days. So let's wait before we break out of here. Let's see, let's do sand probably. And again, very similar setup. The moving averages have turned down and there is no sort of proper bullish setup. So the reason I haven't talked about shorting these cryptos is because shorting is not allowed in many exchanges and in many brokerage softwares. So not many people can do it, which is why that's not the topic of this video. Most crypto people are always looking to sort of buy and go long and are bullish on crypto. So if you are bullish and if you want to invest, and if you have, let's say, 5 to 10 years that you can afford to keep your money in crypto, then right now is actually an excellent time to invest, because prices have dipped a lot. So the more they dip, the more you put your money in. If you're a swing trader or a short-term trader, then what you need to do is you need to play these levels. Let's say you need to pick out the 1 hour chart. You need to look at the support and resistance lines. Let's say right now, okay, that's a good example. Right now, let's say we were at a support, so you need to buy in, and as soon as the price goes from 0.33 to 0.39, you just exit because that's a resistance level. So if you're a short-term trader, then that's the kind of stuff that you need to do. If you're a long-term trader, then this is actually an amazing opportunity for you. We actually are going to start putting some money into Ethereum and Bitcoin and sort of ADA, and that's what we're going to do. I don't think we have looked at ADA, so let's quickly do that. I believe it has very similar setup. The only good thing here is, again, we want to, you can see that we are still slightly below the 20 moving average, so we want to gain some momentum and go above the moving averages. Otherwise we don't really have a setup here, because you can see we have this nice trend line. I really like ADA, and I'm going to start putting some sort of more money into it. But if you want to sort of trade a short-term trade it, then at least look at these levels and then trade them. But yeah, I think we covered a lot of cryptocurrencies, and we have the overall idea here is that things are in a downtrend, so please either wait for consolidation or a trend reversal on the chart. Let's say we have some huge green candles with volume, that would, let's say, be a trend reversal. But other than that, I hope this video was useful for all the newcomers and for some experienced people as well. If you have any comments or suggestions, please post them below. I'll see you guys in some other video. Thank you so much.